The strange lights appeared in the night sky over Montana 3 weeks before anyone important believed they were real. Jace Hammond stood in his backyard, a cup of coffee growing cold in his hands, as he watched the lights move in patterns no human aircraft could achieve. His neighbors thought he was crazy. His colleagues at the North American Space Defense Initiative thought he was seeing things. But Jace knew what he saw. The next morning, he drove to work with dark circles under his eyes. The base buzzed with normal activity as he made his way to his office. None of these people had seen what he had seen. None of them would believe him if he told them. "You look terrible," said Susan Baker, his assistant, as he walked in. She handed him another cup of coffee, which he accepted gratefully. "Late night," he said, not wanting to explain. "Not again. Not after General Wells had laughed him out of her office yesterday. Well, you might want to freshen up. General Wells wants to see you." Jace froze. "About what?" She didn't say, just that it's urgent. 20 minutes later, Jace sat across from General Patricia Wells, a stern woman with gray hair cut short and eyes that missed nothing. On her desk lay satellite photos, the same strange readings he'd been trying to show her for weeks. "Tell me again what you think these are," she said, tapping the photos. "Anomalies in the asteroid belt. Gravitational fluctuations that can't be explained by known physics. Something is hiding there using technology we don't understand. And you think it's aliens." She didn't phrase it as a question. "I think it's not human, and I think we should be concerned." General Wells sighed heavily and pushed a folder across the desk. "These came in from the European Space Agency an hour ago. Similar anomalies, but closer. Much closer." Jace opened the folder. The images made his blood run cold. The readings now showed objects in orbit around the moon. Objects that weren't there yesterday. "I need you to work with Dr. Ellen Wright from Berkeley. She's been tracking unusual patterns in deep space signals. The two of you will report directly to me." General Wells stood up. "And Hammond, if you tell anyone about this who isn't cleared, I'll have you arrested for treason. This stays quiet until we know what we're dealing with." Dr. Ellen Wright didn't look like Jace expected. Instead of a serious older woman in a lab coat, he found himself facing a young woman with bright eyes and a quick smile. Her office walls were covered in charts and equations. "Commander Hammond," she said, shaking his hand firmly. "I've been hoping to meet you. Your data on the gravitational anomalies is fascinating. You believe they're artificial, don't you?" She turned to her computer and pulled up a series of readings. "These energy signatures match nothing in our database, and they're moving with purpose." For the next week, Jace and Ellen worked day and night, gathering data and building a case to present to the Joint Chiefs. Strange things began happening around the world. Weather patterns shifted, satellites malfunctioned. People in rural areas reported seeing lights in the sky. "They're studying us," Ellen said one night as they reviewed new data. "Learning our weaknesses." "Why not just make contact?" Jace asked. "Maybe they have nothing to say." On day 8, they lost contact with 3 military satellites. An hour later, strange signals interfered with radio communications worldwide. 12 hours after that, the International Space Station went dark. General Wells called an emergency meeting. Jace and Ellen presented their findings to a room full of grim-faced military leaders and government officials. "We believe Earth is under observation by an advanced alien race," Ellen explained. "Their technology far exceeds our own, and all evidence suggests their intentions are not peaceful." "What evidence?" asked the Secretary of Defense. "All you've shown us are some unusual readings and communication disruptions." "The pattern matches," Jace said. "They're systematically disabling our early warning systems, our satellite network, our ability to communicate globally. These are not random failures." The debate raged for hours. Some wanted to attempt communication, others wanted to prepare for hostilities. In the end, they decided to quietly put military forces on high alert while trying to re-establish contact with the space station. They were too late. The first attack came at dawn. Jace was in the command center with Ellen when the reports flooded in. Massive ships appearing suddenly in the skies over major cities worldwide. Not the small probes they had detected earlier. These were enormous vessels, miles long, with strange crystalline structures that seemed to ripple and change. They were waiting for us to notice them, Ellen whispered. They wanted us to know it was too late. The alien ships didn't fire weapons. They didn't need to. Powerful electromagnetic pulses radiated from their hulls, disabling power grids, electronics, and communications across entire continents. Military jets scrambled to respond, fell from the sky as their systems failed. Tanks and artillery stood useless. Nuclear missile silos went dark. In under an hour, Earth's military capabilities were effectively neutralized. Jace and Ellen watched, in horror from the command center, which was protected by experimental EMP shielding. Around them, officers and analysts worked frantically to understand what was happening and coordinate any remaining forces. "We need to evacuate," General Wells ordered. "This facility will be targeted soon. We're moving to Site B." As they prepared to leave, Ellen grabbed Jace's arm. "They think we're primitive," she said. "They think this will be easy." "Won't it?" he asked, looking at the reports of devastation pouring in from around the world. Ellen's eyes flashed with determination. "No, because they don't understand humans. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. We're good at war, and we never, ever give up." As they boarded the helicopters that would take them to the backup facility deep in the Rocky Mountains, Jace watched pillars of smoke rising from the city in the distance. The aliens thought Earth was an easy mark. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The underground bunker buzzing with activity did little to calm Jace's nerves. 3 days had passed since the initial attack, and reports from the surface painted a grim picture. The aliens, the Zalgori, as they called themselves in rare radio broadcasts, had established control over major cities worldwide. "They're setting up some kind of structures," Ellen said, pointing to satellite images on the screen. The few military satellites still functioning showed massive crystalline towers rising in what used to be Central Park in New York, Grant Park in Chicago, and similar locations across the globe. "Energy collectors," said General Wells, who looked like she hadn't slept since the attack began. "At least that's our best guess. They're drawing power from something, maybe the Earth's magnetic field." Jace studied the images. "What about casualties?" "Lower than expected," Wells replied. "They're not targeting population centers directly. Military installations, power plants, communication hubs, those were hit hard. But they seem to be avoiding mass civilian casualties." "They don't want to kill us," Ellen said quietly. "They want to use us." Before anyone could respond, the bunker's communication officer rushed in. "Ma'am, we've established contact with someone in New York. Military. A Lieutenant Samantha Reeves with the National Guard. She's organizing civilian evacuations." Wells nodded. "Put her through." The video feed was grainy, the audio filled with static, but Lieutenant Reeves's determined face came through clearly enough. She was young, probably early 30s, with short brown hair and a cut across her forehead that looked fresh. "General, we've got about 2,000 civilians sheltering in the subway tunnels. Limited food and water. The aliens have patrols on the surface, but they're not actively hunting people. Yet." "What's the situation up there, Lieutenant?" Wells asked. "They've destroyed most of the city's infrastructure, but they're rebuilding it with their own tech. Those towers they're putting up, they pulse with light at night. And there's something else. They've landed some kind of ground vehicles. Big things like walking factories. They're processing materials, tearing down buildings and sorting the components." "Resource harvesting," Ellen whispered. "Just like I thought." "Have you had any direct contact with them?" Jace asked. Reeves's face hardened. "Yesterday, they sent what looked like scout units into the tunnels. Humanoid, but not human. Taller, with scaled skin. My team engaged them." "Casualties?" Wells asked. "2 of mine. At least 5 of theirs. Their weapons are energy-based, but they can be killed. Standard bullets work if you hit them in what seems to be their head or center mass." This was the first confirmed report of successful resistance. Jace felt a small flicker of hope. "We need more information about their technology and biology," Ellen said. "Lieutenant, if you can secure one of their bodies or weapons, already done. Reeves interrupted. We have both. Trying to figure out how to get them to you. Hold position, Wells ordered. We'll send a team, and Lieutenant, good work. When the feed cut off, Wells turned to her staff. We need to coordinate with any remaining military units globally. Find out who else is fighting back. Over the next week, reports trickled in from around the world. Small pockets of resistance were forming, learning to combat the alien threat through trial and error. In London, a former army captain led civilians in ambush attacks against alien patrols. In Tokyo, university students discovered that high-frequency sound waves disoriented the Zalgori. In Rio de Janeiro, police forces protected a neighborhood by flooding the streets, which the aliens seemed reluctant to cross. But the news wasn't all good. Acting President Victoria Grant, operating from a secondary bunker, reported that China had attempted to use nuclear weapons against an alien mothership. The missiles had been neutralized mid-flight, and Beijing had been devastated. In retaliation, the first major population center directly targeted. They're sending a message, Grant said during a secure video conference. Conventional resistance only. Anything more will be punished severely. Ellis County, a scientist who had joined their team, finished his analysis of the alien technology recovered by Reeves's team. Their weapons operate on principles we barely understand, but we can replicate some components. Their communication devices use quantum entanglement, instantaneous transmission across any distance. Can we tap into their communications? Jace asked. Not yet, but we're learning. A month after the invasion, the first coordinated counterattack was planned. Lieutenant Reeves and her growing force of fighters in New York would target one of the energy towers, using explosive charges designed by the scientists based on their study of alien technology. The morning of the attack, Jace paced the command center. The mission would be dangerous, possibly suicidal, but they needed to know if the aliens could be hurt. They're in position, the communications officer announced. The next hour moved in slow motion as they listened to the operation unfold through Reeves's radio. Her team moved through the ruins of Manhattan, avoiding alien patrols, placing charges at the base of the massive crystal tower. Charges set, Reeves whispered, falling back to minimum safe distance. Minutes later, the satellite feed showed a brilliant flash as the explosives detonated. The tower glowed white-hot, then began to crack. With surprising speed, it collapsed into itself, imploding rather than falling outward. A cheer went up in the command center, quickly silenced as they heard Reeves's voice again. Confirmed destruction of target, she said, breathless. But we've got incoming, lots of incoming. They're not happy. Get out of there, Lieutenant, Wells ordered. Too late. They've cut off our retreat. We'll hold as long as we can. The sound of energy weapons filled the background. Let everyone know they can be hurt, they can be beaten. The transmission cut off. Silence filled the command center until Ellen spoke. She's right. Now we know they're not invincible. Later that day, against all expectations, Reeves made contact again. Her team had suffered losses, but had managed to escape through maintenance tunnels the aliens didn't know existed. More importantly, the destruction of the tower had revealed something crucial. The aliens relied on their network of towers. When one fell, others nearby weakened temporarily. It's a centralized system, Ellen explained excitedly. If we can coordinate attacks on multiple towers simultaneously, we might be able to create a large enough disruption to damage their ships. For the first time since the invasion began, Jace felt like they had a chance. The aliens had expected an easy conquest, a primitive species quickly overwhelmed by superior technology. Instead, they were facing a resourceful enemy that refused to surrender. As plans for a larger coordinated attack took shape, a new message arrived from President Grant. Tell your people this isn't over, she said. Earth is not lost. Humanity will not bow. And these invaders will learn what happens when they underestimate us. 3 months after the invasion, humanity had learned to survive in the shadows. The Zalgori controlled the skies and most major cities, but they couldn't be everywhere at once. In the spaces between their patrols, people found ways to fight back. In a basement laboratory hidden beneath the ruins of a university, Dr. Ellen Wright worked tirelessly with a team of scientists. The room was lit by a mix of emergency lamps and salvaged alien light sources, giving everything an eerie blue. "Hello, try it now," she said to her assistant, a young man named Carl who had been a graduate student before the world changed. Carl adjusted a device that looked like a cross between a satellite dish and a guitar amplifier. When he flipped the switch, it emitted a high-pitched sound at the edge of human hearing. On a nearby table, a piece of alien technology, part of a communication device they had salvaged, began to vibrate and then crack. Ellen smiled. "It works, the frequency disrupts their tech. But the range is too short," Carl said, frowning. "We'd have to get within 50 feet of their ships. Then we'll find a way to get close." Ellen gathered her notes. "I need to get this to Commander Hammond." The journey to the military bunker took Ellen 2 days, traveling only at night, hiding from alien patrols during the day. The world outside had changed dramatically. The once familiar landscape was now dotted with alien structures. Massive processing, plants extracted minerals from the soil, energy towers pulsed with strange light, and in cleared areas near cities the aliens had begun building what looked like enormous landing pads. "They're bringing in more ships," Ellen told Jace and General Wells when she finally reached the bunker. "But our frequency disruptors could give us an edge. If we can target their ship's shields at the right frequency, we might be able to create small gaps. Not enough to destroy the ships, but enough to get our weapons through. We'll need to coordinate attacks globally," General Wells said. "Hit multiple targets simultaneously to prevent them from adapting." Jace studied the map spread across the table. Red markers showed confirmed alien strongholds. Blue markers showed active resistance cells. "We have groups in 12 major cities ready to move on our signal. Lieutenant Reeves in New York has expanded her operation. They've been raiding alien supply convoys, stealing weapons and tech." "What about the civilian populations?" Ellen asked. Jace's face darkened. "In some cities, the aliens have started rounding people up. Forced labor. They're using humans to help build their infrastructure." "All the more reason to strike now," General Wells said. "Before they solidify their control." The plan took shape over the next week. Resistance cells worldwide would target the aliens' energy towers and communication relays simultaneously. Ellen's frequency disruptors would be distributed to key teams. And in New York, Lieutenant Reeves would lead the main assault on what they believed was a command center. The night before the attack, Jace found Ellen alone in the communications room, sending final instructions to various resistance groups. "Do you think this will work?" he asked quietly. Ellen looked up, her eyes tired but determined. "It has to. We've studied their patterns. They're efficient, but rigid. They don't adapt quickly to the unexpected, and they've never faced a species that fought back like this. Because they've never invaded Earth before," Jace said with a small smile. The attack began at dawn. Around the world, resistance fighters moved into position. In New York, Lieutenant Reeves led a team of 30 through the underground tunnels, emerging 3 blocks from the alien command center. "Remember, quick and quiet," she told her team. "Plant the disruptors, then fall back to minimum safe distance." In other cities, similar scenes played out. In London, resistance fighters attacked an energy tower. In Tokyo, a team targeted a communication relay. In Rio, fighters sabotaged a processing plant. From the command bunker, Jace and General Wells monitored the operations through patchy communications. Reports began coming in. Success in London, partial success in Tokyo, radio silence from Rio. "New York team is in position," a communications officer announced. Through Lieutenant Reeves's body camera, they watched as her team approached the alien command center. The massive structure pulsed with blue light. Alien guards patrolled the perimeter. "Disruptors in place," Reeves whispered. "Activating in 3, 2, 1. The screen showed the disruptors powering up, emitting waves that were invisible to human eyes but devastating to alien technology. The blue glow of the command center flickered. Alarm sounds filled the air. "It's working," Ellen said excitedly. "Their shields are fluctuating, Reeves's team opened fire. Their weapons, a mix of human guns and modified alien technology, sending pulses of energy through the gaps in the shields. Explosions rocked the command center. Alien guards fell as they rushed to respond. Moving to Phase 2, Reeves reported, leading her team closer. They entered the command center through a breach in the shields, fighting their way to the central control room. The feed from Reeves's camera showed glimpses of alien technology unlike anything they had seen before. Holographic displays, control panels that responded to touch, and something that looked like a three-dimensional map of Earth with glowing points marking their installations. "We're in the control room," Reeves said, her voice tense. "Planting the final charges now." As her team worked, aliens converged on their position. The fight was brutal and quick. The camera showed flashes of energy weapons, the sound of gunfire, cries of pain from both humans and aliens. "Charges set," Reeves finally reported. "Falling back, 20 seconds to detonation." The feed showed her team retreating, fighting their way out of the command center. The timer counted down. When it reached 0, the screen went white. For a moment, there was silence in the bunker. Then communications began to light up from around the world. "London Tower down. Tokyo relay destroyed. Rio team reporting success." One by one, reports came in of victories, partial victories, and losses. But the overall picture was clear. For the first time, humanity had struck a significant blow against the invaders. Hours later, when Reeves's team made it back to their hidden base, she contacted the bunker. Her face was streaked with dirt and blood, but she was smiling. "It worked," she said simply. "They didn't expect us to hit them everywhere at once. They didn't expect us to understand their technology so quickly. They thought we were primitive." "This is just the beginning, General," Wells replied. "They'll adapt, they'll strengthen their defenses. Then we'll just have to be smarter," Ellen said. "Faster, more creative." Jace studied the updated map. Nearly 20% of the aliens' key installations had been damaged or destroyed. It wasn't victory, not yet. But it was proof that humanity could fight back, that Earth wasn't going to be the easy conquest the Zalgori had expected. "Send word to all resistance cells," he said. "The real war starts now." 6 months into the war, the tide was beginning to turn. What had started as small acts of resistance had grown into a global movement. Humanity had learned from each victory and each defeat, adapting faster than the aliens could respond. In a chopper, hidden facility beneath the Nevada desert, Colonel Alan Pearson led a team of scientists studying captured alien technology. The colonel was a tall man with a stern face that rarely smiled these days. Before the invasion, he had been in charge of experimental weapons research. Now his work might be the key to saving Earth. "Show me what you've got," he said to the scientists gathered around a large table covered with alien devices. Dr. Marcus Rivera, who had been a physicist at MIT, held up what looked like a small silver disc. "We've figured out how their propulsion systems work. They use a form of gravity manipulation. This component is key. It creates a field that lets them ignore most of Earth's gravitational pull." "Can we use it?" Pearson asked. "Better," Rivera replied with a rare smile. "We can disable it." The news traveled quickly through the resistance network, from Nevada to the military bunker where Commander Hammond and General Wells coordinated global operations, then to resistance cells worldwide. "It's not perfect," Jace explained during a video conference with resistance leaders from around the world. Lieutenant Reeves from New York, Captain Greg Daniels from London, and others watched as he displayed the plans. "The device only works at close range and only for about 30 seconds before the aliens can reset their systems. But that's enough time to bring down a ship if we target them right." "How many of these devices can you make?" asked Lieutenant Reeves. Her face was thinner than when they had first met, with a new scar along her jaw, but her eyes burned with the same determination. "We've simplified the design," Ellen answered. "Using parts we can scavenge from their own technology. Every resistance cell with access to damaged alien tech can build their own." "Then we need to coordinate," General Wells said. "A simultaneous attack on multiple alien ships worldwide. The plan came together over the next 2 weeks. Resistance cells from New York to Tokyo prepared to target alien scout ships, using Ellen's frequency disruptors to create gaps in their shields and Pearson's new device to disable their propulsion. The day before the attack, Ellen found Jace, alone in the command center studying maps of alien positions. "You're worried," she said. He nodded. "If this works, they'll respond with everything they have. They've never faced defeat before. We don't know how they'll react." "We'll be ready," Ellen said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Humans are good at adapting. It's what we do." The attack began at midnight. Around the world, resistance fighters moved into position near alien scout ships. The larger motherships were too well protected, but the smaller vessels presented vulnerable targets. In New York, Lieutenant Reeves led her team through the ruins of Manhattan, approaching a scout ship hovering above what had once been Times Square. The aliens used these ships to monitor human movements and coordinate their ground forces. "In position," she whispered into her radio. Similar reports came in from other cities. "All teams execute," came General Wells's voice over the secure channel. Reeves activated her frequency disruptor. The scout ship's shields flickered as the high-pitched sound created microscopic gaps in the energy field. Her second-in-command, a former Marine named Joe, fired a grappling hook through the gap. The hook, modified with parts of alien tech, attached to the ship's hull. "We're connected," Reeves reported. Moving to Phase 2, Joe activated the device at the end of the cable. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like thunder, the scout ship lurched downward, its gravity-defying technology temporarily disabled. The ship crashed into the empty square below, its hull cracking on impact. Before the aliens inside could recover, Reeves's team moved in. The fight was brief, but intense. When it was over, the humans had control of an intact alien ship. Similar scenes played out in cities worldwide. Not all were successful. The London team lost half their members taking down their target, and the Tokyo team had to retreat before securing their ship. But by dawn, humanity had captured 7 alien vessels. "We need to move them before they can track them," Jace ordered. "Get them to the research facilities as quickly as possible." The captured ships provided invaluable insights into alien technology. Dr. Rivera and his team worked day and night, learning how to operate the vessels, understanding their weapons and communication systems. "They're incredible machines," Rivera told Colonel Pearson after 3 days of nonstop work. "But they have a critical flaw. Their entire fleet operates on a centralized command system. If we could access their main command ship, we could potentially control or disable all their vessels at once." The information was relayed to the military bunker. Jace, Ellen, and General Wells considered the implications. "The problem is finding their command ship," Wells said. "It's not one of the motherships we can see. It must be somewhere hidden." Ellen had been studying the data from the captured scout ships. "I think I know where it is," she said suddenly. "Look at these communication patterns. All ships send regular signals to a point in the Sahara Desert, but our satellites show nothing there." Cloaking technology, Jace realized. They've hidden their command ship in plain sight. Plans for a new mission took shape. Lieutenant Reeves and her team would use one of the captured scout ships to approach the hidden command ship without raising suspicion. Once inside, they would plant devices to disable its central systems. The mission was the most dangerous yet attempted. If they failed, humanity would lose their most experienced fighters and their best chance at victory. The night before Reeves's team departed, Jace spoke to her over a secure video link. "You understand what's at stake," he said. It wasn't a question. Reeves nodded. "We all do. My people are ready. They know the risks." "Ellen has updated the disruption devices," Jace told her. "They should give you more time to work once you're inside. And Rivera says the scout ship's disguise should hold as long as you don't deviate from standard approach patterns. We've memorized them," Reeves assured him. "By this time tomorrow, either we'll have control of their command systems or—" She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. "Good luck, Lieutenant," Jace said simply. as the stolen scout ship lifted off the next morning, heading toward the hidden command ship in the Sahara. Jace watched from the command center. Beside him, Ellen monitored the communication channels, ready to relay any new information to Reeves's team. "Do you think they can do it?" General Wells asked quietly. Jace thought about everything humanity had accomplished in the 6 months since the invasion began. They had gone from helpless victims to effective fighters, learning and adapting with each passing day. The aliens had expected an easy conquest. Instead, they had found themselves in a war they never anticipated. "Yes," he said firmly. "If anyone can, it's them." The scout ship disappeared from their screens as it entered the Sahara region. Now, all they could do was wait. The stolen scout ship approached the massive hidden structure in the Sahara Desert. From the outside, it looked like nothing but sand and rock, but Lieutenant Reeves and her team knew better. Their ship's sensors revealed the truth: a colossal
alien vessel, nearly a mile long, concealed by advanced cloaking technology. "Maintain standard approach pattern," Reeves reminded her pilot, a former Air Force captain named Diane.
Any deviation will trigger their alarms. The team was tense. 6 of them crammed into a ship designed for the taller, thinner aliens. Each person carried weapons, a mix of human guns and modified alien technology, and wore packs filled with the disruptor devices designed by Ellen. "They're hailing us," Diane said as a light flashed on the control panel. "Send the automatic response," Reeves ordered. Dr. Rivera had shown them how the scout ships communicated with the command vessel, simple status codes that required no actual conversation. The signal was accepted. The giant hidden ship projected an opening in its side, a hangar bay large enough to hold dozens of scout ships. Diane guided their vessel inside, landing it precisely where the automated systems directed. "Remember the plan?" Reeves said quietly. "We have 15 minutes to reach the central command room, plant the devices, and get back here. After that, the ship will expect a crew change, and our cover will be blown." They moved through the alien ship with practiced caution. The corridors were larger than human structures, with strange curved walls and lighting that seemed to come from nowhere. They encountered few aliens. Most were stationed at key posts, not wandering the halls. When they did see aliens, they hid using the ship's design against its creators. The Zalgori were not built for war. They were builders, engineers. They had conquered through superior technology, not superior fighting skills. After 10 minutes of careful movement, they reached the central nervous system of the ship. A massive room filled with control panels, holographic displays, and a dozen Zalgori. "This is it," Reeves whispered. "Set disruptors to maximum range on my mark." Her team spread out along the entrance to the room, each preparing to throw their devices. The disruptors would temporarily overload the aliens' communication implants, leaving them confused and vulnerable. Now, the devices flew into the room, landing among the startled aliens. A high-pitched sound filled the air, painful to human ears but devastating to the Zalgori. The aliens dropped to their knees, clutching at their heads. Reeves led the charge into the room. Her team moved quickly, securing the entrances and subduing the stunned aliens. Within minutes, they had control of the command center. "Plant the main device," Reeves ordered. Joe, her second in command, moved to what they believed was the main control panel. He attached a larger disruptor, modified by Dr. Rivera to interface with the alien systems. When activated, it would send a shutdown command to every Zalgori ship on Earth. As Joe worked, one of the aliens recovered enough to speak. It was larger than the others, with elaborate markings on its scaled skin. Through the translation device they had brought, its clicks and whistles became understandable. "You were supposed to be primitive," the alien said. "How is this possible?" Reeves kept her weapon trained on the alien. "You made a mistake. You judged us by our technology, not by who we are." The alien, clearly a commander of some sort, studied her with large, multifaceted eyes. "No species has ever resisted the Empire. 17 worlds conquered, all without meaningful resistance." "Then you never met humans before," Reeves replied. "We don't give up. We adapt. We overcome." Joe looked up from the control panel. Device is planted and ready. But there's something else here. Some kind of transmission system. It's aimed at a point in space about 4 light years away. Reeves tensed. Their homeworld? Or reinforcements? Joe suggested grimly. The alien commander made a sound that might have been laughter. You think this is our entire force? This is merely the advance team. The main invasion fleet awaits our signal. Reeves looked at the alien transmission system. Can you disable it? Joe studied the controls. I think so. Same principle as the rest of their tech. But we need to be sure. If we get it wrong. If we don't try, we're dead anyway, Reeves said. She turned to the alien commander. Your fleet isn't coming. Earth is not yours to take. She nodded to Joe. He activated the main disruptor device. Throughout the alien vessel, systems began to shut down, and across Earth, from the streets of New York to the plains of Africa, alien ships suddenly lost power. Some crashed. Others managed emergency landings. All of them went dark. At the same time, Joe sent a revised signal through the alien transmission system. Not a call for reinforcements, but a warning. Earth was dangerous. The invasion had failed. The advance force had been destroyed. Will they believe it? Reeves asked as they finished. They've never failed before, Joe replied. Why would they question the message? The team worked quickly to gather all the data they could from the alien systems, star charts, technical specifications, biological information, everything that might help humanity prepare for the future. Then they fought their way back to their stolen scout ship, taking the alien commander as a prisoner. As they lifted off from the dying command vessel, they could see other ships falling from the sky across the desert. Back at the military bunker, Jace, Ellen, and General Wells watched the data feeds with growing excitement. Reports flooded in. From around the world, alien ships disabled, alien ground forces cut off from command. The invasion was collapsing. They did it, Ellen whispered. When Reeves's team returned 3 days later, they brought more than just their alien prisoner. They brought hope. The data they had stolen revealed the location of the Zalgori homeworld, the biology of the invaders, the principles behind their technology. Most importantly, they brought proof that humanity could defend itself against anything the galaxy might throw at it. 1 year later, Jace stood with Ellen on a platform overlooking a vast construction yard. Below them, engineers and scientists worked on a massive ship, humanity's first true starship, built using the technology they had taken from their would-be conquerors. Do you think they'll come back? Ellen asked. Eventually, Jace replied, but we'll be ready. Next time they won't find a primitive species easy for the taking. They'll find a race ready to take its place among the stars. The ship below them gleamed in the sunlight. Its name was painted in bold letters across the hull, Defiance. They thought Earth was an easy mark, Ellen said with a smile. They were wrong. From his office in what had once been the military bunker, now transformed into Earth's new space defense headquarters, General Wells watched the same ship taking shape. On her desk sat a report detailing the continued expansion of humanity's defensive capabilities. Beside it was a star chart, with Earth at the center and countless possible destinations surrounding it. The old general smiled. The invasion had nearly destroyed humanity. Instead, it had launched them to the stars.